Nightcap recap. What up, players?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is a Nightcap recap in association with Round Campus College Football Podcast up on Special Team Media as well as Full Press Media and on our IG. Russ Cohen's here, Sportsology. He's also a great hockey guy on SiriusXM, NHL Draft Buzz. But he does the NFL. He knows his stuff there, and he's a longtime Jets fan as well. Russ, what's going on?
Thanks. I know my Jets stuff. Like, I don't do the same kind of work that I do with the NHL draft for the NFL, right? What I kind of do is look at what the Jets need. I also look at history, because if you ignore history, you're doomed to repeat it. And the Jets have repeated it many times over. And I do a report based on that, right? And in the past, just for full transparency, like I wanted Breece Hall, I wanted Garrett Wilson, but I leave it up to the GM on how to do it, because I'm not an expert in how to wheel and deal at the NFL draft. They've got that sheet. That's not my thing. So they got those guys, and they worked out pretty good. In the draft where they got Sauce, I wanted Kyle Hamilton. Turns out I probably did better than the Jets did on that, but they're both good players, but Hamilton's better. But it's okay. There's times I get it wrong too. And so the Jets, there's certain things the Jets always get wrong. They always get, well, I would say 99% of the time they get the quarterback wrong. And I would say 80% of the time they get the edge rusher wrong. And I just want people to know that, because even if you go do like an AI deep dive and you look up recent, good edge rushers for the Jets that they've drafted, right? Here's who comes up. Mark Gastineau. That's been a while.
That's a long time ago.
He's the first biggie. And then Sean Ellis, John Abraham, who they eventually ran out of town anyhow because they said he couldn't, cover on the run, but he might make the Hall of Fame as a pass rusher. That's a possibility.
That is a possibility.
Quinnen Williams was not an edge rusher, so even though he comes up in AI, it's wrong because he's not. But he's a good sack guy, no question. He's a terrific player. And then we get into nothing. You get into the wasted picks, like Will McDonald IV, who has as many sacks in his 3 years as guys get in 1 year. He's got like 21 sacks. Myles Garrett gets that in a year. So you look at that, and there was the guy from Ohio State whose name I'm forgetting right now, who was a world beater, and he was not good. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. But the Jets are in the top 10 again with their pick. Yeah. Obviously, not another great season under Aaron Glenn as the head coach, and obviously Ambassador Johnson and owner Johnson there and their GM. And like I always said, the Jets were doing pretty good when Woody Johnson was out of the picture. He's trying to be Jerry Jones, and it's not working. You've been on the program with myself and Lefty. We've talked about this before. But you mentioned quarterbacks, and you sent me your article about, what the Jets should do. I want to touch on Ty Simpson for a minute. There's been some projections, him going, 16 in the late first round. I've watched him this year. I've never been a fan of quarterbacks playing less than 15 games in college. I think he needs another year. I think he needs a place where he can go develop. Going to the Jets would not be a smart decision on the organization's part, and it wouldn't be smart on his part either because of the development, because that offensive line still needs a lot of work, and to throw him in there would not be the right idea.
Yeah, actually, there's Darren Lee and there's somebody else they had gotten that they thought would be great. Oh, Vernon Golston.
Yeah, Vernon Golston, yeah.
He was the can't miss. Another, like Will McDonald, can't miss, but somehow they miss. Okay, so Ty Simpson. So I'm going to go back on history on this one and say the same things that they're saying about Ty Simpson, they said about Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez is the most successful Jets quarterback in the last 15 years because of what he did. Now, he had a better team around him, but he still did the job. He scrambled when he had to. He made passes when he had to. Was it pretty always? No. But he only was a one-year starter. He played some other games, but he was a one-year starter. Same as Simpson. Simpson maybe has played a little less, but I'm not saying you bring Ty Simpson in and make him the starter. They already have a fall guy for that, and Geno Smith. What I'm saying is, when you get tired of Geno Smith, put Ty Simpson out there and see what he can do. Because if he surprises you after a half season or more of tutoring, maybe you don't need a quarterback in the next draft, because it's a crapshoot whether they get Arch Manning. And here's something I learned from the NHL draft. when teams plan for, and this is free agency too, when teams plan for years in advance for like players that are going to be in free agency, as an example for the NHL, how's NHL free agency this year?
Not good.
But 2 years ago, everybody's like, look at these names, but they're not there anymore.
Not there anymore.
Okay. This NFL draft was supposed to be pretty good for quarterbacks. Now everybody's like, it's not that good, but next year's great. Well, what if next year the three of the guys have bad years heading into the draft? And you waited for that. And you've basically waited now 3 seasons to get that guy and 3 seasons of garbage for the Jets. You could really tank.
Oh, yeah.
And so my feeling is get Simpson, and at least you're betting against that kind of like, I don't know, like it's a mild bet against next year's draft, because what if he surprises you? You know,
I know.
Dart. I wanted Jackson Dart, and people kept telling me Rusty's not a first rounder. And I was like, okay, but I'd still draft him in the first round because I think he's good. And people were like, no. And the Giants did the smart thing, and they traded up and they got him in the first round, right? Late in the first. He's pretty good.
He is pretty good.
But he's pretty good.
No, but he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. He's got the talent. He can read the pocket. What I'm saying with Simpson is I watched him a lot at Alabama. Yeah, the arm strength. Yeah, he could throw the ball down the field.
And he's mobile, too. He
is mobile, but again, Alabama was a mediocre team. They played a mediocre Oklahoma team in the college football playoff. Some of the timing and the decision making, especially early in the season, was not there, and it kind of reared its ugly head later in the year. Again, I agree with you.
He didn't throw many interceptions.
No, he didn't, but they also didn't throw the ball as much as they probably should have. Like, they ran the ball. They were a run-heavy team. They're a run-heavy team. Like
the Jets are a run-heavy team, too.
Which is that's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that's actually a good thing for him, because was it the year when Sanchez came in? They had the great defense.
Thomas Jones, I think, was the running back.
Right, and they went to the AFC Championship game. Now, we got pump the brakes on AFC Championship game. But
he's the only one to beat Tom Brady in the playoffs for the Jets, and one of the few quarterbacks to ever beat him in the playoffs, period.
Didn't he beat Manning, too?
Yeah, 30-0.
Yeah.
They beat Peyton Manning 30-0.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's when Mike T was running the team. He had Rex, good coaching, good defense, good lineage. Yeah. And then everything just fell apart. But with Simpson,
like it usually does.
Yeah, but with Simpson, I think if he gets into a good situation where, look, we don't expect you to play, just go do your reps, develop. Again, it's like we make the comparison to NHL. NFL's harder to do that rebuild thing that we see in NHL, because it's about win now. We need the revenue, get that.
Right.
Yeah, but if you do it right,
it could work.
It can work.
And you could bring in a quarterback tutor. There's nothing that says Woody Johnson can't spend money. Years ago, I don't know if you remember, you're a little younger than me, Zeke Brakowski. Jets brought him in. He helped a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it was Parcells that brought him in, because he was a known quarterback whisperer. That's what they need. They need, with any quarterback they have on staff, they need that. Even Geno Smith at this point probably needs it because of the amount of interceptions he threw last year.
Right.
So, like, a guy like that's never going to hurt to have on staff. And I say have him on staff so this way you have him with a guy like this. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I'm saying Muji could do what he wants, right? You don't have to take him at 16. You could trade one of your 27s and go at the end of the first round again, like the Giants did last year, and snag Simpson if he's still there. Do that. I don't care where you take him. I just think it'd be a good idea to take him. The other thing is, and I'm going to give you one more counterintuitive one that I didn't write about.
Yep.
But you have to plan a little bit for the future. So as an example, Breece Hall. We know he's not going to be on the Jets much longer.
No.
Right? He'll get traded at the deadline.
He should get traded at the deadline.
He will. So how many games is that? 8, 9?
8, 9-ish. Maybe more, maybe less, maybe 7. If they trade him early.
So my biggest argument against me when I tell people I would draft Jeremiah Love is, well, you already have a running back. Not for much longer. Why not let this guy learn from Breece Hall, who's a really good guy, and he's really good at what he does. I mean, the Jets have only had like 16 seasons of 1,000-yard rushers, and then Jones did it 3 times. Martin did it 4 or 5. When you start taking out the multiple guys, it's not much.
No.
And so obviously he's really good, right? I think Love is really good. And if you want to have a young quarterback, whether that's Simpson or Arch Manning or whatever, they're going to need a run game to balance it. You always need a run game with a young quarterback, unless they're just a superstar. But I don't know that guy exists, because even Josh Allen was not good in his first year and a half.
And no one expected.
And he still
Josh
doesn't
Allen
have a running game that's great. It's good.
No, but and I think you're coming out of Wyoming. No one expected Josh Allen to be Josh Allen coming out of that. I mean, he's turned into a real. But again, Doug Dable, the staff that they put together in Buffalo, the weapons that he had. That's what and they did the rebuild thing in Buffalo, putting pieces around, build the line. Everybody knows my opinion on Jeremiah Love. I think he's the best player in the draft, best all around talent. He can catch the ball.
I'm just saying they could do worse.
They could do worse. But here's the thing with Jeremiah Love that people don't, I think people underestimate or don't really look at his pass blocking, his run blocking. He's a really good blocker, and he can catch the ball and he can run the ball, and it takes pressure off other guys. That's why I've always been high on the Giants.
He could hang in there and block.
Yeah.
It makes up for some of the ills of the offensive line where the Jets has gotten a little better, but it's still not.
But it's still not really good. It's still not.
No, that would help a lot.
But that's why I've always been high on the Giants at 5 to take Jeremiah Love, because you don't know what Scadaboo's going to be like coming off the injury. The way he runs like a maniac.
I'll be honest. I like him. I like his fieriness. He's a little too exposed out in the media for that market. Like, he's got to reel it back and actually produce for a little bit longer, because if he doesn't, he's going to be like a nobody in 3 years if he keeps on this path.
Well, and also he could kill himself the way he runs. Like, the way he's running, like, he could kill himself. That's why you bring in a guy like Love. It takes pressure off Scadaboo, takes pressure off Dart. That offensive line isn't as good. Both offensive lines in New York are awful. But the Jets also have a second pick.
Membu's pretty good. He's actually helped a lot. I think the Jets line's better than it was, but it's probably ranked 20th or something. I mean,
But what do you think the Jets are going to go at 2 since they have the second overall?
I don't think they're going Jonathan Bailey anymore because of two things. Now, again, I go back to the NHL draft where I say just because a team didn't meet with a guy doesn't mean they're not drafting him. I've seen guys get drafted and they were like, I never even spoke to the team. It happens. But not in the NFL when you're spending a tremendous amount of money on these guys and picks are worth a lot more than the NHL.
Right.
And you had a 30-minute interview set up with this guy and you canceled it. He didn't cancel, they canceled. Now, that doesn't mean they're not interested in him, but what it tells me is either they're really overly excited about this guy and they think they know everything, which is the wrong way to take it, because every last interview you could do, every last medical test you can do, you need to put all of that together. Mm-hmm. Even if you are convinced, you still have to convince yourself. They're not doing that. So either they're not doing due diligence or they already know they're not taking them. It's one or the other. I kind of think it's the latter. I kind of think they figured out we're getting somebody else, so let's not even do this meeting and do that. So I think they're passing on him. I think they're going to take Avril Reese. That's who I think now. I don't think it's a bad pick.
No.
But I know he's younger, and some people are worried about that. But they do kind of need that guy, so that's fine. I mean, if they take him, I think it's better than some of the other names I've heard. And I looked him up, and I kind of like what I see. And he can be molded. I don't know if Aaron Glenn's going to be the guy to mold him, to be honest. Maybe 6 games into this season, Aaron Glenn won't even be there anymore. We don't know. So, but again, I feel like he's a guy you can't scheme against.
Right.
And I think you need some of those guys that you can kind of mix into your defensive coverage to get sacks, like Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
You need those kind of guys.
And if you could find, like, we compare it to the NHL draft too, but like similar in a fact, like the NFL, right? Yeah, first round is first round, but you mold your team in rounds 2 through 7, and
right. And that's where the hard work's done.
That's where
I can figure out some of the first round picks, and I do it, in the NHL when someone asks me to do a mock draft, but I'm not super successful with mock drafts. I don't like doing them because I like to rank guys based on what I see. And that's what I do with this too. This is what I see. This is what I like. This is what I think a team needs. And then I'll leave it up to the GM and the team scouting staff to do the rest. I'm just pointing out what I like. But it's hard because you know how it is. All of a sudden you're there on draft day and things happen. The pick ahead of you didn't expect. Maybe the 2 picks ahead of you didn't expect. And now it's like, what are we going to do? Now you got to really talk about it. That's why you need the time on the clock. That's what makes it difficult. And that's what makes things change on draft day, and they do.
Right. We see it all the time in the NFL. I mean, now the Giants have 5-10 after they traded Dexter Lawrence to Cincinnati. I mean,
they're a player now.
They're a big time player. You could get 2 defensive stalwarts on the back end there. You get a running back wherever you want to go, wide receiver, trade down, trade up, now you got picks to play with, and you see that, and then you kind of wish that happened a little bit more in the NHL where guys are just making maneuvers and you make things interesting. And like the one thing I always say when it comes to the NFL, because I've never been to the NHL scouting combine and they really don't show it too much on the TV.
I mean, they show it a little bit, but I've been going for 15 years at least.
Right. And it's like they don't show it as much as you do on the NFL. And the NFL one, to me, it's like, I don't really care what guys do in shorts and T-shirts. Give me a film.
There's a little bit to gain. So I'll give you one player that you happen to know, Mackenzie Blackwood, right?
Yeah.
And so with Mackenzie Blackwood, I noticed that when I was looking, and I can't look every second like the scouts. They sit at the side of the stands when these guys are doing their floor exercises, I call them, and they're watching everything. I got to do interviews too. So I just go and I look at the sheet and I just look at certain players. But Blackwood, I caught out of the corner of my eye do a long jump that I couldn't believe. And now I think it's like second all time, like in the combine, right? Because I think someone's even beaten him. But when you have core strength like that as a goalie, it matters.
Right.
And you could see like Blackwood is strong when he's down and in the crease. Guys are in the crease. Like he can handle himself. So I think that tells you something. I'm also going to give you another one. And again, I'm not the greatest social media guy. I'm not.
Right.
And so last year I was following Anton Frundell around because I really think he's a tremendous player, going to be a star in the league. Right. And I took a picture of him just doing like his high jump, how high can you jump? That kind of thing, standing jump. And that thing has over 80,000 views. I had no idea why. I just thought I was looking at it for myself. And I just put it up because it's like, hey, it's content, whatever. And so maybe it does feed into your, hey, they don't show the combine enough. Maybe they should shine a little bit more of a light on it. Yeah. Because apparently people want to see it. But getting back to the NFL one, because I write for a collectible site, GTS, I do look at all the combine numbers. I write about all these rookies ahead of time, but for collecting. But I'm still looking at them like I kind of look at them for the NHL draft. And so 2 guys stood out to me. And again, I'm not telling the Jets where to take them.
Right.
But because I understand, like the minute you say, like when I say Davison Igbinason, right? When I mention him, everybody's like, well, Russ, he's a middle of the draft guy. Okay, maybe he is. But he did a lot of great things during the season and at the draft, at the combine. And so it's like, maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to go in the second round because it's up to the GMs, right?
Yeah.
You can't figure it out as mock draft guys all the time. There's plenty of times it's going to be wrong, and that's just part of it. You know that.
100%.
So what I liked about him is that he's the biggest corner. He's a 6'2" corner, and I think the Jets could take a page out of the old. And again, I hate Pete Carroll. There's for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
I could do the choke. I could do the choke, and you know what I'm talking about. But he knew how to get defenders, and he had a bigger secondary that could tackle, but also pass defend.
Right.
The Jets don't have that. They haven't had that. Even Sauce was soft.
Right.
And I never would say it as a Jet fan, but I could say it now. He was soft in some coverage. And so this guy is the opposite of that. And he worked on his top of the pass route, which is great on that coverage because at his height, he could do that because he could jump really high too. Everybody else you look at, you can give me all the other names. They're all between 5'11" and 6'1", but he's 6'2", and he's kind of got that linebacker-ish body, but can cover too because he's got the speed. And so I look at those 2 things, and I'm like, and he's also a guy that when he picks up fumbles and other things, he can run it out. Like, I don't know if you know this, but the Jets don't get any interceptions.
No, they had 0 interceptions last year. Zero. I think that's our NFL record.
It is. It's an NFL record, and they barely ever pick up fumbles and take him to the house. But this guy can do that, right? So to me, like I've identified this guy. Now I'm telling the Jets, go get this guy wherever he ends up. If you're getting him in the second, great. If you're getting him in the fourth, great. But I'm just saying get him because this guy is going to surprise you. And he's a need that the Jets have needed for a very long time. Like they haven't had a guy like this maybe ever, but in a very long time. So him and Simpson are the 2 that I really think they should get. But wherever they get him is fine with me. Like last time, I think it was Joe Douglas, when they got Hall and Wilson, he did a good job. He got him in different spots than I thought they could do it, but he did make sure he got him. So I was like, all right, you got the right guys.
Right.
And so that was good. I think it was Douglas. It still may have been the guy before. I forget.
Right.
But either way, the Jets did a good job on that one. So I'm not telling you where to take them in the spots, but those are guys who I like. But I think Reese, I'd be okay with. I don't know if I'm okay with Bailey, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an all or nothing kind of pick.
Yeah,
the Jets have had too many all or nothing kind of guys.
And you got to go safe here now. Now you got to be very conservative. You want to be building a team if you're the Jets. Like, you don't want to be having the same issues every year, going through the draft, looking for the same players every year. Because you miss on your first, those are going to set you back a while. Like, you got to hit on some of your first-round picks, especially if you have two of them. And, like, what I'm saying is sometimes, because I've talked to some guys who played in the league and a couple guys now are in the Canadian league, and they're saying you go watch Senior Bowl footage, you see the guys on the side doing the one-on-one drills as offensive linemen where they place their hands. Yeah, right. Some of the receiving and some of the quarterback stuff at the combine with the shorts and T-shirts and no cover. I would love to see one day at the NFL combine a little coverage in there. Just throw a little defensive scheme in there because it's great. You could throw to your own guys. You could throw to this guy.
Just to see how a guy covers a pass, how he runs across the field. I'm with you.
Like, to me, it's like, okay, that's great. These guys, different quarterbacks are throwing to different guys. That's why I was not a fan of Mendoza not going to the combine and not throwing. Because
he knows he's going first. He only has something to lose. He has nothing to gain there. So I understood why he did it. And I wrote about Mendoza like on Halloween. I was like, the Jets should get this guy. And of course, now it's an impossibility.
No, it's an impossibility. It's going to Raiders. But the good thing for Raiders is Kirk Cousins is there. He can sit for a year. Like, he can go develop. He can develop.
Right.
Like, he ain't seeing the field this year. And if he does see the field, there's a problem. Because the Raiders
with Kirk Cousins, there's usually a problem.
Yeah, there's usually a problem. But
he's a good guy, and that's a good thing.
Right. But the issue is in Atlanta, that was a complete mess. Like, you just paid the dude, then you drafted Michael Penix Jr. for whatever reason, and that just still blows my mind of why. But again, it's draft day. You don't know what teams do. They blow things up. Like Montreal, Slavkovsky in 2022, first overall. Everybody expected Shane Wright to be there, and blows it up. But look, I think Mendoza.
Just look even at the Eagles right now.
Yeah,
they won a Super Bowl, but now everybody believes they've overpaid on Jalen Hurts, and I think in a year he might not even be there.
That'd be something if Hurts isn't there in a year. I mean, and I loved the pick when they got him. I was like, oh my God, Jalen Hurts is going.
I mean, the Eagles passed on him.
Yeah, and they got him there. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. He played at Alabama, he had development in Oklahoma.
But you never know what's going on in here. And if you watch him on the sidelines, he doesn't really communicate with anybody, where everybody else seems to, whether it's teammates, a coordinator. He's on his own island. And it may have worked to win the Super Bowl, but it hasn't worked since.
So now I got to ask you now, like, the A.J. Brown stuff, is that part of the reason A.J. Brown wants out, or is it?
Yes. I don't think A.J. Brown's a great teammate, right?
Yeah.
But it's clear he's had a 2-year beef with Jalen Hurts, and the team has sort of hit it. I see enough. I live in the area. I see enough and read enough to recognize that, because it happens to the Jets every person they draft. That's why they never hold on to their guys. They all leave. Right. So I recognize it when I see it. And I do think there's been too much smoke here for him not to go to New England. I mean, during the combine, he just had this conversation with Mike Vrabel, like out of the blue. Mike Vrabel said, "Oh, A.J. Brown texted me and we were going over the old days." Really? At the combine, he decided to text you? No.
You knew this all year. You knew he was going all year. You probably should have traded for him at the deadline. You didn't do it.
But it's easier this way. He doesn't have to give up as high a pick.
No, he doesn't.
Because now the Eagles already signed a receiver, knowing that they're getting rid of A.J. Brown. Like, everybody, the whole world knows.
Yeah.
And they've known for a while. It's just that, they haven't done it. Howie Roseman waited. He maybe because he wanted to wait out that season, kind of hoping that they
turn it around.
Turn it around.
To me, the Eagles, like, here's my point on the Eagles: it's just too much change. They changed their offensive coordinator too many years in a row.
That's because of Nick Sirianni. We also have to acknowledge that for what everybody liked in town about him that helped him win the Super Bowl, he's also what you hate about him when things aren't going well.
Yeah.
Because that kind of guy will grate on everybody's nerves. And I think he got on everybody's last nerve. And the thing is, when you watch him, and I don't think he's a bad coach, I just think he is a coordinator who thinks he can coach, but now he doesn't want to do the coordination part. He doesn't want to be the play caller. And that's something that's why he's gone through all these other guys, because eventually he comes to, he has problems with them. And then it's probably like, I could do it. You know what I mean? Like, and then everybody,
I'm just surprised.
I don't know what he
Kellen
says
Moore.
behind doors, but you could tell it's an inordinate amount of offensive coordinators they've had.
Way too many, because the year they struggled against Tampa, they had a different coordinator. Then bring Kellen Moore in, everything was fine. Now Kellen Moore leaves. Now they got issues. It's just like Kellen Moore was there. Just pay him. Just keep him. They were rolling. Offense was great. Yeah, Barkley was going to come back to the fold a little bit, but Devontae Smith's numbers took a hit. He should be better than he is. The Eagles are just crazy over there. Like, I mean, the NFC East is nuts.
I wish my team was that crazy in the sense because they're successful, but they've got some problems. And I think they're going to get rid of Brown and then hope that cures the problem with Jalen Hurts. And if it doesn't, I think they're going to look at Jalen Hurts as the problem.
Do you think they draft quarterback?
They might. Listen, the one thing I'll say about Howie Roseman is he's got guts. Yeah. And everybody would want him as a GM because he doesn't care what you think, what I think, or anybody thinks. And so do I think that there's a chance with a late round pick he goes with a quarterback? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've noticed, like you said, he's got guts. I mean, look, the 1 year that they struggled, they went all rookies on defense, and it paid off the following season. So we know he's not afraid to take a risk and, waste the season and potential. Be like, all right, let these kids develop for a year, and then next year we're ready to rock and roll again. I mean, look, that's a big one. Jalen Hurts not in Philly anymore.
If he has the kind of year he had last year, this year, I think he's gone.
Yeah,
it's a lot to eat on the cap. I get it, but.
It's Philly. I mean, it's Philly. They do it with Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz, same.
Gone. And he didn't even win a Super Bowl there. He's gone.
I still wonder, where is Carson Wentz right this minute? Is he anywhere?
No, I don't think so. I
still think he's going to end up on the Jets. That's the sad part.
Yeah, I don't think he signed anywhere.
Right.
I don't think so.
I think he's still going to end up with the Jets, which I don't want to see. I don't want to see Carson Wentz hit the field, to be honest.
No, you just stay with Geno and take your chances on whoever they draft. And one more before we wrap up on the quarterback class, going back to the draft. Yeah, I agree with you on this. I said coming into the season, watching a lot of college football, I said this class is not good. The best player, if he was able to come out, and obviously he didn't because of rules and everything, was Trinidad Chambliss. I thought he was the best quarterback that was going to come out. Obviously, he did it. He's back at Ole Miss.
Right.
I've seen, again.
I mean, Arch Manning could have come out, but he's making like $5 million a year.
Right.
Why is he going to come out?
And apparently there's a report now Miami's offered Ty Simpson close to $5 million in NIL money. But he's already committed. He technically can go back.
He can because he hasn't. Yeah, he could technically go back, I believe. But I think Simpson wants to play more. He
wants to play in the NFL.
Yeah. He knows he's going to make his money.
Right, exactly. But, you look next year, Arch is there, Trinidad Chambliss, Dante Moore. It's still not a sexy draft class, quarterback-wise. It really isn't.
And all I'm going to tell you is this. It was a miracle the Jets ended up where they ended up this year in the draft. Next year, when they're trying to end up there, they won't.
No, they won't. No,
they'll foul it up. They'll pick 6th or 7th.
Yeah, because they want to finish in the top 2, and they won't.
Right.
Because they'll win enough games to just
They'll win 4 or 5 games, and there'll be teams that tank worse than that, and will do that. And Aaron Glenn won't tank that bad because he's playing for his job. And so this is how the Jets are. This is what ends up happening. But the other thing is, and I learned something this year. Again, I shouldn't be learning things at my age this year, but I did. It looks like and I asked some people around too, the experts, when they're picking positions in the mock drafts for teams like the Jets, they're looking at the Jets secondary like it's okay because they have players there. But Cisco and Stevens is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But some of the other guys, when you look at them in Pro Football Focus, and I know GMs hate it, but I like Pro Football Focus.
So do I. Love Pro Football Focus.
And most of their secondary are good against the run, not the pass. And some of these guys are ranked 68th out of 90, 104th out of 122. But the experts are saying, hey, they got a guy there, so this is why they need this guy. And it's I would replace that guy. I don't care if Andre Cisco is signed. If I get somebody better, he's a backup. What do I care?
Right, exactly. Again, over scouting, over value, over this, over that. We see it everywhere. We see it in NHL. We see it in NFL too. Like good
All you
GMs.
did was fill a hole. Like it doesn't
Right.
mean.
That doesn't mean he can't be replaced.
Yeah, I was taught a long time ago in management. There was a guy who taught me a lot of things, and one of the things he said is, "Don't just fill a hole with workers,
Right.
because in the end, it's not going to work out for you. It
No.
will today, but in a few months, it won't." And it's the same thing in sports, and that's what the Jets have done. They've patchwork. Muji has patchwork the secondary, so everybody's like, most of it's okay. They just need a no. There's still. This is a passing league. You have to have an elite secondary, and if you don't, you're going to suffer
big time. And if you don't have a good pass rush, you're going to suffer too.
Yeah,
because that doesn't allow you to get
a lot of times scheme. You could have guys come in from different spots. You could have safeties rushing. You could have linebackers rushing. Like it doesn't always have to be. I think this is like a misnomer too.
Right.
It doesn't always have to be that guy, that edge rusher. Because how many teams have a guy with like 15 or more sacks?
Right.
I don't know. I'm just asking that question.
I think there was a couple of guys this year, but it's only the top tier guys. Like it's like the Myles Garrett.
So every team doesn't have one, and probably not even half the teams.
No, half the teams don't have it. It's rare that you have at least one.
Right.
But I mean, if you do, not good.
With scheme, they're getting by
they're
with
scheming. It's different. But that's what I'm saying. Like if the Jets could scheme a little bit better, you throw the pass.
So you're saying Aaron Glenn could be better at his job? That's what you're saying.
Yeah. But he's not. But he was the wrong hire to begin with. So
well, look, I liked him as a player. I had met the guy. I said, this guy is legit as far as caring about football.
Right.
What we didn't realize is he was going to be combative with the media, and he was going to have this pride that would overlook and overshadow all the bad things happening in front of him. It took him 13 games into the season to finally realize he had a shit team.
Yeah. You should have known that from day one.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know what to expect this year. Like, I think he's just riding out the string, but he doesn't know it. He doesn't know it. He's going to try his hardest. And unfortunately, it's like Rich Kotite's hardest.
Yeah. And it doesn't end up working. And the Jets will do what the Jets do. And
the Giants are doing the right thing. Again, as a Jet fan, I don't hate the Giants. I just hate that they share a stadium. But what ends up happening is when the Jets and Giants are both bad, the Giants get better quicker. And they always have better guys in management and scouting than the Jets, and they're still proving that they do.
Right. Well, that's debatable on Joe Shane.
No, but it's better than the Jets.
It is. Oh, yeah.
No. It's a low bar, man.
It is a very low bar. Low bar. And as somebody asked me last year, and I'll probably get the same question this year, who has more wins? I say toss-up because it could be a push again. I think the Giants have
Jackson Dart. You're going to get like one more win.
Yeah, one more win, but it ain't going to be much. It ain't going to be many. It ain't going. Though if Harbaugh
give
can
them
get this
6
team,
wins, I give the Jets 5.
But I think Harbaugh can get it turned around a little bit more quicker than what they're doing it with the Jets. I'll say that.
Oh no question. I think by the year after they'll be in much better shape. I mean, they got to have some guys that stay healthy and all those things. But yeah, I think they'll be better quicker than the Jets. They'll make the playoffs before the Jets unless the Jets really do get the right quarterback. Because again, I don't care what you do in this league. It's a quarterback league. And until you have one, you're never going to make the playoffs.
No, exactly. And you're seeing that around the league. You need a QB, needs to get you there, regardless if he has 5 trips someplace else. As long as he develops, he can get you. Look, whoever thought Sam Darnold was going to win a Super Bowl?
The only thing I can tell you is I did choose Sam Darnold over Josh Allen, right? Back in the day. Me and my buddy, we call each other. But the Jets weren't going to wait 5-6 years for Sam Darnold to develop. Now, do I think they had the wrong coach? Yes. And do they have, and I don't even want to get back into that.
Yeah, we don't have to go down that.
I don't want to go back into that headspace. But so he didn't have great footing, but you could see there was talent. But then he took a back seat, and the years that he took a back seat, he learned. And he still has the same abilities. He still is the same guy. He's just a little bit older, but now he's really good. So, yeah, I think there's something to be said about it. Like, again, with player development, you could draft the right guy, but if you don't develop him right, it's not going to matter. He's still going to stink for you.
Right. And, again, this is talking about rushing quarterbacks in way too soon in the NFL when guys should be developing.
Correct.
But we drafted
them. To me, you should treat them like goalies. Now, these guys are older. They're a little older.
Yeah.
Do have a little bit more data on them, but I think they should treat them like goalies. It's very rare when a goalie just comes into the NHL as a rookie, like as a 18-year-old or 19-year-old. and takes over the league as a goalie. Like you could put him on your hand for
It
the last
doesn't.
decade.
It's rare. It's very
It's
rare.
a rarity. And most of the time when they're good, it's like they're 21, they're 22.
Yeah.
It's right around that age, when they really figure it out. And I think it's the same thing for quarterbacks. But the problem is, and again, remember with the old days with slotting and pay.
Yeah.
These quarterbacks make too much money. So now there's guys like, what's Geno Smith making? $30 million?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
To be the worst quarterback in the league, you're making $30 million?
Yeah.
I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. He's probably going to get like $32 million if he comes back. And by the way, if I were the Steelers, just draft a quarterback and tell this guy.
Exactly. Look, Russ, I've talked to Steelers fans. I've talked to some that were in the area. They're like, enough with Aaron Rodgers. Go draft a quarterback. Tell him to get his butt and move on.
But the problem is that the Rooneys and people in charge there have gotten soft in the head because once you got Mike McCarthy, he'll wait all day long for Aaron Rodgers.
Stupid.
Because he thinks he can rekindle the past there, and it's
not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
He's older. McCarthy, great, okay, good hire, but get a young quarterback. Get this team going in the right direction. Stop being in the murky middle.
I'm the GM, I'm drafting a quarterback like second round, and I don't care what Aaron Rodgers does. Like I'm drafting a quarterback, and let Aaron Rodgers hear about it on whatever island he's on, and he gets a notification. The Steelers drafted a quarterback, and then let him worry about it.
Right. The best example I say in NFL, Matt Flynn was supposed to be the guy in Seattle. Russ got drafted in the 4th round. Russell Wilson took the starting job and took him to 2 Super Bowls and won 1.
Right.
Your job. It doesn't matter how much money you get. You are replaceable. You can, if you get outworked and outpositioned by somebody else they drafted, hey, that's on you.
Hey, here's the thing too about Russell Wilson. So he runs a football academy.
Right.
And I know a guy that works for Russell Wilson, used to. I don't think he works for him anymore, but he scouts football, and Russell Wilson does a lot of work with that academy and everything else. So there's something to be said about the brain of a quarterback and what they learn and because again, not everybody has the crazy. I don't want to hear about arm talent anymore.
No.
I don't want to see videos like Zach Wilson. Like basically, Joe Douglas was seduced by that video for that arm talent throw.
Yeah, arm strength. Oh, I could throw it down the field. Okay.
Yeah, except he couldn't do anything else.
No, he didn't have
last
IQ.
year, even the Dolphins played anybody but Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Like it was like you could see they didn't even want to put him on the field.
No. It's awful. Like they just fell in love with the arm talent. Look, Russ had the IQ. His body was just getting older and he couldn't do anything. Yeah. But you saw last year's signs before Dark came in. You saw that Dallas game. You could still chuck it down the field. The Giants' defense was awful.
Yeah.
But then you see the same thing. Andrew Luck was just tired of getting beat up. He had a great football IQ. He just got tired of getting beat up.
Listen, I watched Ken O'Brien, and he was getting sacked 60-something times a year. And there was a game against Dan Marino where they were trading touchdowns. He led the league in passing one year, and then he started to have a bad shoulder. And you could see in games, like he would be moving his shoulder. Yeah. Like it didn't last long. He wasn't the worst pick you could ever have, even though in that draft, everybody's like, you watch that ESPN video, and it's like, who's this guy? Out of Cal State. But he was a pretty good quarterback, and he had a great arm. As far as accuracy, maybe not the strongest, but accuracy.
Hey,
and he threw a lot of touchdowns to Wesley Walker. That's all I can tell you.
Look, accuracy matters in the NFL. If you could place the ball right, especially
you drop it in, as they say.
Exactly. Hey, so we'll see. Anything coming up on Sportsology this week for the draft at all, or no?
No, I put up what I'm going to put up. I've said my piece. I am going to be on a show for the FDH Lounge. They're going to be like live. They always want to get the crazy Jet fans perspective. And since they have a couple picks, I'll oblige. So I'm going to do that. It is a busy week though, because, like the Flyers are in the playoffs. So I'll be covering that. And so the NFL draft. Yeah, it's
a busy week for Mr. Russ Cohen over there at Sportsology.
But I like it that way.
Exactly. Everybody loves it that way. Obviously.
And the Mets have lost 11 in a row. And of course I'll write about it again.
Well, I'm not bringing up the Mets since it's too much pain for you, Russ. I know.
Listen, I only root for teams that have too much pain. So I'm just used to
it. Yeah, exactly. But guys, this has been Cap Recap Around Campus College Football Podcast, talking NFL draft, what the Jets are going to do. Get it up, Specialty Media, Full Press Media as well. We'll have some clips up on IG. Follow, like, subscribe, do it all. Jim Biringer, Russ Cohen, guys.